Welcome to the Healers Café, the number one show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Lorraine Kane. She's a author, speaker, and advocate for transformative healing. After surviving a catastrophic car accident and profound near-death experience at 26, she has dedicated her life to exploring the intersection of trauma, faith, and grace. Her memoir, A Gift in the Wreckage, which is a brand new book, invites readers to discover the hope and purpose hidden in life's most broken places. And I understand you're also a Reiki master and you have other kinds of therapies at your disposal. But first of all, thank you for sharing all of this with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be with you today.
So, I'm wondering where we should start. I mean, I don't want you to go into the story too long. I want to really know what, like, yeah, how did your life get led? Or how did you listen, learn to listen from this transformative near-death experience and what brings you here?
Well, so I'll just back up a little bit prior to the accident.
Mhm.
I had been a young mother of two little girls. My husband at that time and I were very active in our fundamental church.
Mhm.
Um, to be honest, I kind of thought that I had it figured out. I
Mhm.
thought, "Yeah, I understand God. I was raised in a Catholic home, so I had a healthy fear. You have to get it right." And then going into the basic fundamental church, I
Mhm.
remember seeing a play, and it was a play about Judgment Day.
Mhm.
And when people died, whether or not they had, at the church, it was a fundamental church, and it was whether or not they had accepted Jesus. And for those people that didn't, they were thrown into hell. So I
Mhm.
remember that instilling a lot of fear
Yeah,
into me.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh. And then there's a judgment day, and I'm going to stand before this God and give account of everything I've done wrong. I,
Mhm.
I was afraid. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
have to tell you, I was frightened about that.
Mhm.
So then we had a home in Florida I'm in Canada where the winters get quite cold.
Mhm.
So we were fortunate enough to go away just a couple of weeks before Christmas.
Mhm.
And my mother-in-law and my two young children at the time, they were 13 months and almost three. We went down to Florida. We had a beautiful time. And then it was time to come home. We drove and my mother-in-law had driven all night long and it was the morning and I took the wheel, felt completely fresh, ready to go, bring us home the last 10 hours. And I got onto a highway with no signs whatsoever. And unfortunately, I learned after that we were the fourth death in that stretch of highway that
Oh
year.
my gosh.
But it was always my side that died. Um, this time I had crossed, so I checked my blind spot and I signaled and I proceeded to go into the passing lane.
Mhm.
I wanted to transfer into the next lane, but when I pulled over and there were no signs whatsoever, there were oncoming vehicles.
Oh my gosh.
And I lost control of the car and we had a head-on collision. It was absolutely catastrophic. Both vehicles were airborne. It was just a miracle that anybody survive that horrific accident.
Wow.
So, I was in the car, and the rescue workers, who were absolutely amazing, came. And, I could have been their mother, their wife, their sister. They fought so diligently to free me. And then they airlifted me to a trauma center after that. But while I was sitting in the car, they had just taken my children and my mother-in-law to in the ambulance, and I was trapped, and they had decided they were going to cut me out with the jaws of life. And as I was sitting there, my breathing was shallowing, and it was
Mm,
horrible. And I was so trapped and so full of fear and so alone.
mm,
And in that fear, I just cried out and I said, God, help me. I need you right now. Please help me. And what happened next it took me so long to be able to articulate and find the
mm,
words. But it was like my body had opened up, and
mm,
this brilliant, brilliant white light filled. And it was a light that didn't burn. It wasn't like looking at the sun. It was a brilliant, bright light that just enveloped me and filled me. And as I looked up, a hand came down, and it's very similar to the cover of my book, actually.
mhm,
This hand extended, and a voice said, "Take my hand, and I'll show you heaven." And as I reached up and I put my hand into God's hand, I lifted up out of my body and I
mm,
started to go up. And I looked back down and I could see me sitting in the car, and I
mhm,
could see the traffic. I could see everything around, but I wasn't connected
mhm.
to the body in the car.
Right.
I had already It was like I was a soul. I was in my
Mm,
true form,
mhm,
and I proceeded to go up, and God spoke to me and said, "Don't look back." So I
mm,
looked up, and we were flying. It was like we were flying through this different
mm,
dimension of space almost. And we stopped, and we no longer communicated with our words. We were communicating in our spirits. There weren't words. And it was time for my life review. And I wasn't even sure what that was.
mm,
I didn't have fear.
mm,
What I felt was the most unconditional love that
mm,
you could ever know. Here on earth, if we experience that kind of love, I'm sure we would completely combust. It
mm.
was just And there was no judgment. It wasn't this God in the sky that was going to point his
Right.
finger and condemn me. And as he started to show me things in my life, it was like I had missed the mark. There were
Mm,
two paths. I could have gone this way. I chose a different way, but there was no judgment. It was just, I knew I had missed the mark, and the sorrow, and it was, I'm so sorry. And the unconditional love I was met with was just, I love you. I love you. And
mm,
then after that was over, we proceeded to go on. And I think I was being taken deeper into heaven, or the next place. But we stopped again.
mhm,
And out from the side of this beautiful bright light came a photograph of myself with my two daughters and
mm,
my ex-husband, who was my husband then.
mm.
And the voice, actually, God gave me a choice. And this was really fascinating
Wow. Yeah.
because he said, "Are you tired? Do you want to come home, or do you want to continue?" And I never realized that we were given choice.
Mm,
And I thought of my children, and I just realized that my time on earth wasn't quite done. There was
mm,
still work to do.
Mhm.
So I said I didn't think I was ready. And again, the unconditional love that I was met with as we descended. And
Mhm.
just before I came back into the car, into my body, I heard God tell me, don't let go of my hand. I'm holding your hand.
Mhm.
And when I popped back into my body, I remember feeling a very painful feeling in my eyes. And I was back in my this body, and there
Mhm.
were people all around, and they were still rescuing me. The roof was off, the air ambulance came in. They took me off to a trauma center where
Mhm.
I had over the next couple of years, I had proceeded to have, I've had over 60 surgeries to be exact. In 31 years, it's been 31 years. And the last
Oh, goodness.
surgery was 3 years ago. So
Wow. Gee.
yeah, it's ongoing.
Wow, what a story. My God.
I know. God is
Wow.
good, though. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
through all of that, I believe. The strength was given to me, the grace was given to
Mhm.
me. Going through such a catastrophic, horrific
Mhm.
experience. And we
Mhm.
don't have time today. I could tell you about my insurance company going
Yeah,
bankrupt,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there were so many problems. But
Yeah, yeah.
through it all, there were so many gifts.
Mhm. Mhm.
And God helped me to, when everything's taken from you, when you have
Mhm.
nothing left
Mhm.
to fight for, you're broken,
Mhm.
nothing. God steps in such a powerful way. And I think of that poem, Footprints.
Mhm.
When I look back
Right.
and you see the one set of footprints, because it was hard. And there were times I cried out and said, where are you?
Mhm.
How come you're not helping me through this?
Mhm.
But when I look back on the other side of it, I see that it was then that God carried me.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, especially with the background you had, right? Which, I mean, there's so much, I would say, I'll just call it corruption, but, corruption of the real truth of God, in so many religions
Mhm.
and, it's not about spirituality. I really mean the organized religions, um, to instill such fear in people, so that their perception is all of the things you shared, right? And then when you actually experience it, you realize that it's not like that at all. It's pure and
Absolutely. The biggest thing for me in my experience, there's a few, but one of them was there is no fear in
Mhm.
dying.
Yeah.
When we die, it's simply like we close our eyes, and when we open them again, we're there. And there is home. We
Mhm.
go home. We go back to where we came from.
Mhm.
I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human
Mhm.
experience here on
Mhm.
earth.
Yeah.
It's not that we're human beings who get to experience God
Right.
on occasion, right?
Yeah.
We are spirit beings.
Mhm.
God
Mhm.
is available to us
Mhm.
all. And
Mhm.
all we have to do is just ask, just
Mhm.
reach out, allow.
Yeah.
And for healing, for so many things, today I run a wellness center,
Mhm.
and I see God all the time in people's lives, just
Yeah.
as they surrender
Yeah.
and allow, the healing comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the essence of it completely, right? Without all the stories, and that's part of what we have to let go is all the stories,
Isn't that the truth?
yeah, and the
So true.
fear, that I think, yeah, we're on the verge of discovering a lot of that, how many things we've been told that are not true, about
Hmm.
about our world and how things really work. And if you look at the Vatican and these representatives of so-called religion and Catholicism, and I think it's going to be a shock to people um, to realize how controlled they've been by such, like, it's like a day and night. We're not even talking about the same thing. But what's interesting is that many people have a little inkling that there's something more, there's something real, but until you're actually in your situation, you don't meet it necessarily, right? And
Yeah.
you don't get the the pleasure. I mean, it's hard to call your situation pleasurable, but
The
like
gift.
the gift exactly.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Exactly, of knowing that with certitude, because we're
Mhm.
always looking for something real. But in healing, I think I see that from, when I was in practice, like those 30 years. Um, it is at the surrender point that a lot of this becomes clearer to people. That they understand that they have everything already to be able to do what needs to be done.
And I think that the thing too is that we hold on to what we know and what
Yeah,
we've been taught. But it's only when we lay those things down
yeah,
and we allow that we start to see transformation. When we hold on to those stories, and it's not working. If those things aren't working, I completely would implore people just, to let it go. Just let go and ask. Take God's hand. And as you understand God, don't get caught up in all of those
exactly.
stories you're talking about. Let God be real to you in your life and meet you where you are in your life. That's what I truly, and God, there is no fear and judgment and that scary, harsh God off in the sky doesn't exist. I did not meet that God. What I met in my experience was unconditional love and peace and an assurity that I am so loved and I matter so much to God Almighty. It was
Mm,
just a beautiful, beautiful
mm,
experience
mm,
to experience that, you
mhm,
know?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's yeah, it's funny. I'm gonna just share it's just because I believe that there are no coincidences, things happen exactly as they do. And I had a very interesting experience this past retreat I went to. And are you familiar with 5-MeO-DMT?
No,
Do you know what that is?
why
Okay.
not?
Well, so it is a substance. They call it the God molecule because it actually is within us naturally. But it's used a lot for people with, well, all kinds of conditions and disorders. And mental stuff, and also just curious people like me that just want to know, you know, yeah, if this is what is like what it does is it allows what's within you, inside of you, to be shown clearly, but without all the cognitive, judgment-based stuff.
Mhm.
And I think people have from the experience and what I've seen, they feel like they've seen God now. And it's like anyway, my personal experience with it, which I didn't know what it was going to be like, and I'm very open to things. I don't do things many times, but I like to, especially if it's safe and well done and all that. I feel like there's so much if we can open up our perspective. And I learned by opening up my perspective, or I would have never ended up having the type of practice I had, right? So, anyway, this is very fresh for me, but it was a sense of just incredible gratitude, love, joy, bliss almost. But the feeling is that we are one. There really is no separation. And when you're describing like the hand, it's like that, it's that certainty of absolute love that you're taken care of. And then there's choice, which I thought was really incredible with your story because and I've seen that other people have shared that, they have a choice, and it's like we are souls. And that became very clear in this. And you come to Earth to do your journey. And you choose, like, okay, no, it's good enough now. Off I go. Let me go back to my essence. Or you continue the journey. Now, here you don't have a choice. You're not going to die, so you come back. I just want to make that clear in case people are afraid. It's not a near-death experience. Oh my gosh, life is so unbelievable experience. But it's used for, people with addictive problems, with PTSD, with brain trauma, with like, very interesting. And I can see it as different, but also, yeah, it can be, I can see it complementary to some of the much more hands-on work I do through Bowen therapy, right?
And was it transformative for you? I'm curious when you had
Yeah.
that experience
Well,
afterwards.
for me, I've done a lot of work, because I'm a real go-getter for,
Yeah.
exploring and not, I mean, be willing to uncover every stone, right? And, see what's underneath. And I just know there's so much more that we don't know. So my curiosity, that's how it is, right? It'll bring me into interesting places. Some good, some less good, but the more intuitive I am, the better the
Nice.
experiences truly are, So, and I would say 99% are well chosen and good. So, but your question was the insight. I think it was like a reassurance for me.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
reassurance that the world really is this way. Like the way that I had started to really allow myself to feel.
Okay.
Now I wasn't brought up religiously, but we did the right thing, you know, whatever that was. And
According
so
to someone.
yeah, but I never was, yeah, so I wasn't dragged up with fear, as they say. But my partner, who's was Irish Catholic, certainly, he did the whole thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
has the fear of the devil within him. I mean, it's like incredible, right? And anyway, so he was there too, and all that lifted. And it was just such a beautiful, interesting experience. Anyway, so I felt like sharing that with you because not because I was near death, but you know, I think we are coming to a time period where it's really important to understand that we truly are souls having a
It's
human experience.
interesting. After the accident, this is very interesting. So from the time God told me not to let go of his hand, he was still
Mhm,
holding my hand. And when I was down in the States for a couple of weeks while I had some surgery, then they airlifted me back to Canada. When I got to Canada, I
mhm,
was almost dead. They called my family back in and said, "Oh, it was a terrible journey home. I was way too weak. I shouldn't have been moved." Um, so they called my family together. And I remember God speaking to me, like you and I are talking
mhm,
right now. I can
mhm,
remember one particular night, I woke up, I was in my hospital bed, and I heard the most beautiful music. And
mhm,
it woke me up. And when I woke up, the entire room was filled with angels, angelic beings. I saw brilliant bright light, and the
mhm,
music was coming out of the light.
mhm, mhm,
And those experiences for the first, I would say, month, I was in between two worlds. So I was able to communicate with both sides, which
mhm,
was interesting. And as I went through surgery and I started to heal, it was like I was losing that ability to connect the same
right.
way. And then years, years of surgery
Mhm,
and
mhm,
recovery and healing.
mhm,
And then and I was also very clear that I was now a spiritual being. When I came back, I was a whole different person with a whole different understanding
mhm,
about who God is,
mhm,
what the purpose is. And I think we're here to love and experience. I think it's all about raising our vibration, our frequency to
mhm,
connect to our divine creator and to have those experiences here on earth
mhm,
that grow us.
mhm,
That,
mhm.
and it's not about getting it right. That doesn't matter. It's not about that at
Yeah,
all. It's not about those huge polarities that society feeds us, right
right,
and
right.
wrong and
Yeah.
good and bad. And
Mhm,
we
mhm.
have it so wrong. It
Yeah.
truly is just about opening ourselves up,
Mhm,
getting to know our divine creator and
mhm,
saying yes and
mhm,
allow. And
mhm,
when we do that, it's there that we find
mhm,
the magic. It's there that we start to be led and shown things that my mind has been blown so
mhm,
many times in the discoveries of God's grace in
mhm,
my life and just how we can have that relationship here and now. It's
mhm,
not what we have been told it was. It's just so
mhm,
different.
mhm.
It's so inviting.
Yeah,
It
interesting.
really is.
Mhm.
And now I do Reiki.
Right.
I branched away from the fundamental church after my
Mhm,
accident
mhm,
and after my healing.
mhm.
And now I run a wellness center
Yeah.
in Ontario where we do Reiki and reflexology, a lot of natural modalities of
Mhm.
healing,
Right.
because I really believe that our bodies are designed
To
to
heal.
heal
Mhm.
themselves. We
Right.
don't need to put medication in it. We don't need to do the things, again, that we're told to do. It's about longevity, it's about your quality of life. And again, the body heals naturally.
Mhm, mhm.
So tapping into things like Bowen and things like Reiki and
Yeah.
reflexology, red light, all of those beautiful things we have today
Mhm,
that allow our bodies to live in an optimal state.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's fundamentally the philosophy of Bowen too, right? It's like you do little patternings on the body, and the body just knows how to put itself back together again, and it's very powerful. But and I would add, and this, you may or may not agree with this, because I certainly didn't believe this 35 years ago.
Hmm.
I thought, well, we have everything. I also now feel that where our environment has been damaged sufficiently that we may be missing things in our food because it's so
Mm.
toxic, and we may need some assistance in helping to detox and stuff. So I'm now aware that and it may be just having a good, truly organic garden, that may
Hmm.
help it, but not everyone can do that. So I think, but healing is simple, and what the body needs, if it has the right substrate, is simple. We
And
don't.
it's intuitive. That's the
Absolutely.
operative word
Mhm.
there. It's
Yeah, yeah,
intuitive. And we need to have that intuition. If we tap into that
correct,
intuition,
correct.
then we're on our way.
And we can test everything, muscle
Right.
test it, right? So we know if it fits or it doesn't fit, So yeah, we actually have a lot of powers that I think we haven't allowed ourselves to fully see.
So true. So true.
Mhm.
Yeah. A lot of people will say too, I get a lot of messages from people asking about my experience,
Mhm.
and often they've lost loved ones,
Mhm.
and they're grieving terribly, and
Yeah.
they want to know what it's like. What is it like over there? And I don't want to be there if I can't be with my loved ones. And what struck me is I used to feel that way too. But when I came up out of my body in the
Mhm.
car and I looked down, I saw things in a whole different way. I
Mhm.
wasn't connected to the body in the car anymore.
Right, right.
It was like I knew that wasn't me. That
Mhm.
was just a suit that I
Yeah,
wore here
yeah,
in this dimension, but it
yeah.
wasn't
Mhm.
meant to be worshipped, and the way I perceived, the way I was perceiving it.
Right.
I had that's what I had gotten wrong, and that we're really soul beings. And
Mhm.
we're back to your point of oneness. I
Mhm.
think we are just all one. When
Mhm.
we cross, it's just love, pure love,
Mhm.
all togetherness.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I look forward to the day when I go back. My
Yeah.
daughters now are 34 and
Wow.
30, no, 30, almost 35 and 32. And I
Mhm.
do have a third daughter.
Mhm.
So that's another blessing and another gift.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm grateful that I came back for sure. Life has been so interesting. And I'm
Mhm.
so filled with gratitude that
Mhm.
I got to experience God's grace in my life.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
continue on a
Right.
daily basis to experience. And I'm
Mhm.
so filled with gratitude for that.
Great. Well, I think our time is up, but could you bring your book a little closer to the so
Absolutely.
people could see it? Oh, perfect. A Gift in the Wreckage,
A
Lorraine Cain.
gift in the wreckage.
And you can get it on Amazon and things like
You
that. I
can.
imagine. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yes. All right. Well, it
Okay.
was a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for getting together and chatting.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Cafe. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.